Welcome to Meet the Candidates, a Q&A session for candidates running in the special election for Blaine City Council, Ward 2. This Q&A with candidates is sponsored by the Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters and is being recorded by NorthMetroTV as a public service to voters. My name is Leslie Waterhouse, and I'm a member of the Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids League of Women Voters, and I live in Big Lake and cannot vote for any of these candidates. All candidates were invited to this Q&A session, and we're happy 3 of the candidates are able to be here tonight to answer questions important to the community and to voters. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates. The League encourages informed and active participation in government. We advocate for important issues and help citizens become informed voters. We welcome all who are interested in learning about a variety of issues to join our organization. Just go to LWV ABC to learn more about the League. This candidate Q&A is about informing voters. It's held to provide voters an opportunity to hear from candidates on important issues and compare their ideas. The views expressed are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters. The League posts complete, unedited recordings of meetings with candidates. Editing is authorized only for official media reporting. Excerpts or edited clips of candidate forums may not be used for purchase or political purposes. The candidates will answer 2 introductory questions they received in advance, followed by questions submitted by the public via our website and questions of importance to the League of Women Voters. We'll end with closing statements. Answers are limited to 90 seconds for the 2 introductory questions and 1 minute for each of the other questions and closing statements. We'll start in alphabetical order by last name, and candidates will take turns being the first to answer a question. And we'll start with the introductory questions, and the candidates here this evening that I would also like to welcome are Heidi Green, Steve Weed, and Terry Wold. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Leslie Larson and Michelle Rice had commitments and have sent their responses to the introductory questions, which I will read after the candidates have responded. We didn't receive a response from Paul Edgett. Again, each candidate has 90 seconds for responses to the introductory questions, so we'll begin with Heidi. Heidi, what was your motivation to run for this office, and what experience or knowledge would help you serve effectively?
First, before we get started, thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thanks for doing the work that you do, helping us candidates share our platform with our voters. And thank you to those that have taken the time to watch this. My name is Heidi Green. My husband Doug, daughter Ella, and I have lived in Blaine for nearly 20 years. I'm running for city council because I want to serve. Many have asked me if I am crazy for wanting to do this. I assure you I am not. There's never been a time in my 20 years of living and doing business in Blaine where, in my opinion, the city has had more positive, deliberate momentum. I am excited with the direction the city is moving in from a growth and development perspective. This, combined with our AAA bond rating, our fully staffed police department, and Highway 65 funding coming in from state and federal government, make this a fantastic time to be sitting on city council. Blaine's future is very, very bright. We have a city staff and council all marching to the beat of making Blaine the state's premier sports destination. Having a common theme and goal that all future business owners and developers can get behind will be good for all of Blaine. From the variety of housing that will be built, to the businesses that want to come to Blaine, to the new pedestrian options and the new infrastructure, to the new indoor and outdoor recreation options, Blaine is going to look even better 5 years from now. There will be challenges. Change and growth are not easy.
Thank you. And Steve, what is your motivation to run for this office, and what experience or knowledge would help you serve effectively?
And again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. I am a 10-year Blaine resident and a 19-year Anoka County resident. My wife is Tracy Peck. I am the father of 5 and the grandfather of 7. I had a 40-year career in the music business as a buyer and a salesman. As a director of purchasing for Lieberman Entertainment, I was responsible for purchasing over $50 million a year. And as a vice president of sales for the Handelman Company, my main customer, Best Buy, did over $25 million a year. My wife and I owned a small business in Anoka, Lillian's, so I am aware of some of the challenges that businesses face. I was approached about running and decided now that I am semi-retired, I have the time, desire, skills, judgment, and commitment to be on the city council. I have no preset agenda. I intend to listen to the voters, the voices of Blaine residents, represent all members of the community by maintaining an open line of communication, and ensure a strong voice for Ward 2 in City Hall. I want to keep our tax rates low while maintaining Cadillac services for our residents. Blaine currently has one of the lowest tax rates in Anoka County and one of the lowest utility rates in the metro. I want to maintain that low rate while also maintaining our AAA rating.
Thank you. And Terry, what is your motivation to run for this office, and what experience or knowledge would help you to serve effectively?
Well, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I'd like to just start by saying I've been married to my wife Donna for 50-plus years. We have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Both of our children are Centennial School graduates, and 2 of our grandchildren currently attend Centennial School, so we have a strong local tie. We were Circle Pines residents for 12 years, and then we took in my sister's daughter when my sister passed and fostered her, and we've been Blaine residents for the past 37 years. I'm a graduate of Dunwoody College, specializing in architectural engineering and construction management. I have a strong background on that. I have many years of business construction management in industrial and commercial real estate. I'm a local business owner and have several years of specialty contracting across the U.S. One of my major projects in environmental cleanup was the cleanup of the I-35 bridge collapse site. And we had like 60 people going for 3 months. I really was asked by many people with Blaine, I've been associated with Blaine for quite a while, to do this. They know me and they trust me. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, so I will first start with a response from Leslie Larson. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend in person due to family travel commitments made long ago. My name is Leslie Larson, and I am a candidate for the City Council position open for Ward 2. My family has been residents of the Lakes neighborhood in Blaine for 15 years. I chose to become a candidate for the City Council seat expressly to do what I can to preserve and even improve the quality of life Blaine now offers all types of families and individuals. I'm a graduate of St. Cloud State University and have been a business owner since 2003. As an entrepreneur, I began a staffing agency business and created jobs for 300-plus brand ambassadors. I sold that company and now own a local small business. I know the importance of what benefits successful small businesses can bring to a community and what municipal support is needed for them to thrive. Since becoming involved in community service in recent years, I have educated myself in the needs of our area and its citizens. My active involvement in the 2020 and 2022 election campaigns of local and state representatives provided me with extensive knowledge in the workings of government and the needs and desires of our state and local citizens. At one of those events, I had a lengthy conversation with Mayor Sanders, which fostered my interest in this position. Since that time, I have met one of many previous Blaine City Council members. All right, and next I will read the response from Michelle Rice. I believe in the ability for local governments to make a real difference to the citizens. I want to represent the citizens on their views and expressing their voice. Blaine is a great place to live, and I want to continue the work to make it an even better place to live. I get excited about integrating ideas and my skill sets to help ensure the best outcomes. My 30-plus years in retail service, real estate, marketing, operations, and public relations have provided me with the skills and insights that will be useful at the council table. I conduct myself with integrity and commitment, and I intend to be true to those values in all that I do for the city. All right. So for the second of the introductory questions, the first one will go to you, Steve, we'll start with you, Steve. What are your goals for Blaine's future?
Well, I think when about Blaine's future, my goals are to have a police force that's well-trained, well-paid, and properly staffed, and that would result in a safe community for our homes, children, and businesses. As far as, the crime rate in Blaine is about half of what the national average is and much lower than our neighboring cities, but I still think there is room for improvement. My goal would be to make Blaine one of the safest cities in the metro. I'd like to keep the criminals out of our cities. In addition, there's the Highway 65 project. Highway 65 is a vital link between the Twin Cities and the Northern Metro. It's currently dangerous and inconvenient. Congestion is expected to double by 2045, so the project, which is $163 million, encompasses overpasses, frontage roads, and improvements for walkers and bikers. I'd like to keep the infrastructure in Blaine maintained, plowed, and clean. My own personal pet peeve is litter. I can't believe that people throw litter out the window. And secondly, I can't believe it doesn't get picked up. Through community efforts and our maintenance department, I would like to keep our streets clean.
Thank you. And Terry, what are your goals for Blaine's future?
Well, in listening to and reading the literature of my ones I'm running against, and we all kind of share the same goals. We may word them differently. I approach the following, current and future issues with sensible solutions rather than political. And the number one is always on the lips of Highway 65. We also have Northtown and 105th Nassau Street redevelopments. I'd like to reduce the reliance of city budgets on strictly property taxes. We can do that by enhancing cultural, recreational, and educational amenities for businesses and residents alike. Make Blaine a destination city that attracts and retains residences, businesses, and their employees. Promote and enhance sports facilities and programs, and promote a city of communities, parks, and businesses. I've been a helping person at Blaine. Currently I'm on the board of SBM Fire. I just finished my first 3-year term, and I am in line to be appointed to my second. And I also I'm on the the Traffic Commission as vice chair.
All right, thank you. Heidi, what are your goals for Blaine's future?
Thanks for asking. And yes, I think many of our goals are very much the same. As a specially elected councilperson, my first goal would be to familiarize myself with the city's comprehensive plan and what remains of that plan for 2023 and how I would work effectively with the rest of council to complete those items on the plan. And like the two gentlemen on my left have said, I really, truly want to bring our tax dollars back to Blaine to support the Trunk Highway 65 project and our other infrastructure needs. As Steve said, 65 is, in a word, dangerous. We must get our residents where they want to go safely and efficiently. We also need to grow the Blaine brand as a premier sports destination in the metro area and upper Midwest. We need to leverage our airport, the second busiest and largest of the small airports in the metro, the National Sports Center, Victory Links, the Twin Cities TPC, and Fogarty Arena to attract more resident-desired amenities. We should prioritize smart growth and strategic development and redevelopment, encourage creative housing solutions and commercial development that meets the needs of Blaine's diverse and growing population. We have to value the environment while understanding the need for a strong local economy and remain open to alternative transportation and energy resources.
Thank you. And then I'll read the response from Michelle Rice. Completing important projects that are already underway, roadways, Northtown, for example, I want to be one of the decision makers who develops the future for our community, ensures its alignment with our values, and supports the vision that you have for your family, your business, and yourself. I have a genuine passion for this community, its citizens, and its future success. And then the response to what are your goals for the future of Blaine from Leslie Larson. To maintain healthy and productive growth and support for, I'll start at the beginning. My goals for the future of Blaine are threefold. To maintain healthy and productive growth through support for current and new small businesses, to support continued development of area surrounding 105th Avenue into new downtown Blaine, including restaurants and housing to support those businesses, to complete funding for the Highway 65 improvements and carefully consider improvements to the Northtown area. 2, to carefully consider zoning regulations to ensure low-density housing expansion for single-family owner-occupied properties on undeveloped land in our ward. The majority of residents I have spoken with are strongly opposed to major increases in high-density rental and/or government-subsidized housing. With concerns over overcrowding of schools, depletion of already compromised water supplies, and unsustainable traffic, I support their views. 3, to provide top-down support to Blaine and Anoka County law enforcement. This is critical to the community safety and to maintain the excellent quality of life Blaine provides our families and individuals. I believe I would be the best candidate to meet the needs and wants of Blaine citizens, and I would greatly appreciate your vote for Blaine City Council. Perfect. So for the following questions, that completes the introductory. So we'll have 1 minute, or each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each of these questions. And we'll start with you, Terry. What can the city do to address and curtail the activity of drug dealers in Blaine?
Well, I have a very strong police background, and to echo what Steve Weed said, Blaine has an excellent police department. We need more officers, though, assigned to drug intervention. Northtown is it's not unknown, but Northtown itself is, my wife walks over there, and she could pick up a baggie full of drug paraphernalia on a daily basis. We need more police officers, quite simply. And that's all
Okay. And next to you, Heidi, what can the city do to address and curtail the activity of drug dealers in Blaine?
That's a great question, a fair question, a big question. So clearly, and I agree with both of you gentlemen, we need to have a fully staffed, fully funded, and well-equipped police department. And in Monday night's council meeting, we had several new officers sworn in, and I think it's a feather in Chief Podani's cap that we are fully staffed. We're one of the few in the metro that are fully staffed. And, as Chief Podani and I have spoken about, many departments in the metro are not, and in fact are woefully understaffed. So giving our police officers the tools that they need and putting them in the places where they need to be is probably the best approach that we can take.
Okay, thank you. And Steve, what can the city do to address and curtail the activity of drug dealers in Blaine?
Well, first, I think our police deserve the support of the city council. And in addition to being well-staffed, like Heidi mentioned, I was here Monday night, and we added, I believe it was 5 new policemen. That was really an incredible thing to watch, to see their devotion to the community. But in addition to being well-staffed, I think they need to be well-trained and well-paid. I want to have the best policemen in the area. And like I said, I think that would result in a safe community for our homes, children, and businesses. Our goal should be to keep the drug dealers out of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. For this next question, we'll start with you, Heidi. What can the city do to enhance safety at the Northtown property, including in the parking area of the Northtown Mall?
Again, very similar to the previous question, and I think we can see what our voters are interested in hearing about. So my answer would be much the same as what I have already said. And I think the other thing that we have to think about is obviously the redevelopment of Northtown, right? And that is a large project. None of that property, or very little of it, is in the control of or owned by the city. But as we begin to pursue redevelopment, there are things that can be done to discourage the behavior that, Terry, you were speaking of. Furthermore, as we grow the Blaine brand being a premier sports destination and providing other outlets and things for people to do, particularly young people, maybe they'll find some new hobbies instead of hanging out at, say, Northtown.
Thank you. And Steve, what can the city do to enhance safety at the Northtown property, including in the parking area of the Northtown Mall?
Well, I think that, the area has really become run down. And despite some of the recent improvements, I know that, in the mall itself, there's the new pink squirrel and the new food court in there. I think that, obviously we would just have to increase patrols if that's really a problem area. And also, I think it would be somewhat of a responsibility of the mall as a private entity to make sure that that area is safe.
And Terry, what can the city do to enhance safety at the Northtown property, including in the parking area of the Northtown Mall?
Well, the last 5 responses to those questions about Northtown, that's the first thing we have to do. I've been around real estate development quite a while over my years, and to try to convince a developer to come in to an area that looks the way it is and has the reputation it has, you can kiss that goodbye, literally. It has to be cleaned up. It has to be under control. There's a tenant over there now who my wife was walking the mall and wanted to go into his space. They had to go outside because they had locked off the door from the mall to his store on the outside. He had to come in from the outside because they just couldn't control the younger people inside.
Right.
And that's got to be cleaned up first. So.
Thank you. The next question will start with you, Steve. As a council member, how would you keep your constituents aware of issues being considered by the city council and provide ways for them to express opinions before a decision is made?
Well, I just think that it would be a matter of keeping an open line of communication at all times. I don't really, like we have newsletters that we send out, from Blaine that tell about the activities and what's going on in our community. But in addition, I would just want to make sure that everybody felt that their voice was heard.
Thank you. Terry, as a council member, how would you keep your constituents aware of issues being considered by the city council and provide ways for them to express opinions before a decision is made?
Well, I believe in little bites of, you identify an issue and take little bites of it, heading towards a goal. I think one of the little bites the police have taken is that they will have coffee with a cop. Mm-hmm. And that came out quite a while ago, and it's been gaining in success. We on the board of the fire district are also getting to do something like that with the Spring Lake Park Blaine Mounds View Fire District. But it starts right here. If we, like on the Traffic Commission, we'll have an issue, we hash it out, we make a recommendation to the city council. It hasn't worked as effectively as it could. There's some issues that need to be worked out, but we're working on it.
Thank you. And Heidi, as a council member, how would you keep your constituents aware of issues being considered by the city council and provide ways for them to express opinions before a decision is made?
This is kind of a fun question, actually. There's all the obvious. We need to encourage our neighbors in our community to take advantage of what the city puts out. There's several publications, Blaine Biz Connect and Rec Connect and the website. And I think each one of us as just community members owe it to ourselves to use those. In addition to that, though, we have to be present in our neighborhoods. And my husband and I are out several times a week walking our dogs and engaging with our neighbors. And if there's something important that's affecting my immediate neighborhood or even Ward 2, we have to go out and solicit opinions, thoughts, ideas. And that's as simple as what we're doing right now, or we should be doing, which is knocking on doors and asking people how they feel and what's on their minds.
Thank you. And for the next question, we'll start with you, Terry. During the drought of the past 2 summers, Blaine pumped more groundwater than was permitted. If elected, how would you work to address Blaine's groundwater situation?
Well, they are making strides. They have a new aquifer up on the north part of Lexington. I live on the very south part, but it's up and running. The new water treatment plant, I believe, is operational. We just have to identify some areas that still need to have work done. I go out and talk with people in my area, and they are extremely concerned because every time we used to connect with the city of Lexington,
Right.
our water would turn brown, and it smelled. And I know right now that we still may be in a litigious situation with the city of Lexington where they would be forced to take care of their own water system. But it's just an ongoing situation, and we have to work with it.
Thank you. And Heidi, during the drought of the past 2 summers, Blaine pumped more groundwater than was permitted. If elected, how would you work to address Blaine's groundwater situation?
I think that's a curious question. I wasn't aware that we were pumping more water than was permitted. Having said that, the city of Blaine recently brought on water treatment plant number 4. And I've looked into this because I'm aware of the situation with Lexington, the city of Lexington, and I know that it's quite likely to be an issue for whichever one of us ends up on the council. We have the capacity to pump 25 million gallons of water per day. And currently, in non-summer months, we pump about 6 million gallons of water per day in the city of Blaine. So I think it's more about getting information out there and making sure that everybody's got the facts. In the summer, according to city numbers, 19 million gallons of water per day when we're watering our lawns.
Thank you. And Steve, during the drought of the past 2 summers, Blaine pumped more groundwater than was permitted. If elected, how would you work to address Blaine's groundwater situation?
Well, I think this falls under the subject of responsible growth. You know, Blaine is one of the fastest growing cities in the state, and you know, we want to all continue that growth in a responsible way, and that means to manage our resources so that we don't overwhelm them. And if I understood the issue from last year, Blaine drilled some wells that may have dried up some neighborhood wells, 200 or so wells, and I believe that at this point we're even paying $100,000 to help to repair those wells. So I think it's it's an issue I heard while knocking on doors, and I think we need to really just look at how we responsibly grow.
Thank you. This next question will start with you, Heidi. What are your thoughts on the Thrive on 65 project plan for the Highway 65 improvements?
What are my thoughts? As I stated in my opening comments, I'm very excited about it. part of being on council is to be a good steward of tax dollars. And much of it goes to the state and county level. And I think it'll be all of our jobs, any of our jobs on the council, to lobby our state and county officials to bring those tax dollars back into Blaine and the Highway 65 project. I think that's critical. And frankly, it's critical to everything else that we've talked about tonight, from safety to, growing the Blaine brand as a premier sports destination, and really public safety and managing our growth. Without 65, I don't think we can accomplish any of the rest of those things. It's got to get done. It's urgent.
Thank you. And Steve, what are your thoughts on the Thrive on 65 plan for the Highway 65 improvements?
As Heidi said, I think it's important that we get our fair share of the tax dollars here. Currently, our state has quite a surplus, and I think this would be the time to go after that. And I also want to say that, I think we all have about the same plans for the actual completing the funding. What I want to also talk about is the making the transition during the construction is as smooth as possible for Blaine residents. I remember when we did the 125th overpass. That was a 2-year project, and I think that Blaine residents deserve a smooth transition to that.
And Terry, what are your thoughts on the Thrive on 65 plan for the Highway 65 improvements?
Well, I believe it will be built, and it will go through. And to echo what Steve just said, on the Traffic Commission, our hands are tied. We can only talk about local roads and streets. But all the questions I get are, well, what's going to happen when 65 is stopped and traffic is still going to be going? What's going to happen to Aberdeen? What's going to happen to Lexington Avenue? I've heard nothing from anyone who have designed this plan as to what's going to happen to all these people. Radisson Road is going to be terrible. Can you imagine what the pro golfers are going to think of Blaine when Radisson Road has 3-mile-long backups when they're trying to get back and forth? I mean, shoots our image right in the rear.
/Thank you. And with this next question, we'll start with you, Steve. What would you do to encourage larger voter turnout in city/ward elections?
Well, I think we just need to get out there and make the public aware that, these are important positions, and, and we're forming the future of our city. So knocking on doors and, just getting out and making sure people are aware that we're out there and that we're open to hearing what they have to say.
Thank you. And next to you, Terry, what would you do to encourage larger voter turnout in city and ward elections?
Well, the amount of door knocking I have done so far is not the greatest, but I would say over 50% of my opening is explaining to the citizen that answers the door, they're actually in Ward 2, because I have the map to show it. Right. They have no idea. A lot of them have no idea what ward they're in. What is a ward? And then, what election? Sure, it's all out there in the printed. Blaine does an excellent job, the city, of putting information out there, but people aren't reading it. And we have to find some better interactive ways to get this word out. I showed 2 people this morning at my Caribou Coffee that, you are in Ward 2, and there is an election coming up, so.
Thank you. And Heidi, what would you do to encourage larger voter turnout in city and city ward elections?
Well, I think we're doing it. We're doing it tonight by participating, and I'm really grateful that the 2 of you joined me up here. I'm actually kind of disappointed that we're not all 6 sitting up here. And all 6 of us that are running, we are active in our community and are setting an example. I think a lot of people are surprised that there are 6 of us running for this one seat. This is more interest in city council than any of the seats have had in as long as I can remember, for sure. And so I think some of it is maybe we can, as we sit here with these mics in our face, encourage others to get involved. And like you two gentlemen have already said, as we're knocking on doors, encourage our neighbors to be informed. You can't just, the future of our city is what's at stake. So get involved at whatever level you want to. There's all kinds of boards in town that have vacancies. Get involved.
Thank you. In this next question, we'll start with you, Terry. Sustainability was a major theme in Blaine's 2040 comp plan. What will you do, if elected, to start to build sustainability plan for Blaine?
Well, first of all, I would really have to dig into it to see what I consider the issues would be. I think we're doing fine, but we can always do better. It's just common sense. Dig into it, talk it out, talk with your competitors. If you're going to make it political, bring everybody to the table and let's have a goal. Let's go that way. If it was up to me to make the decision, it would be a straight line from me to the goal. But I'm so much in the middle that I may have to go to the right and pick up some help and then go back to the left and pick up some help, eventually get to the goal. And we just have to keep going. We are one of the largest cities, fastest growing. We have the third largest fire district under SBM fire in the state of Minnesota. People look at Blaine and say, "Oh, you're from Blaine?" Or "Are you from Blaine?" It's the world of difference there.
Thank you. And Heidi, sustainability was a major theme in Blaine's 2040 comp plan. What will you do, if elected, to start to build a sustainability plan for Blaine?
So sustainability is a incredibly large topic, and a hot topic right now. And again, I think this is kind of fun. As we start to talk about the 105th development or the redevelopment of Northtown, there's real opportunity as we start talking to interested developers and business owners. We have to let them know that it is part of our plan, and as such, perhaps incent them to make sure that they have sustainability as a cornerstone to whatever they're doing, whatever business they plan on building. I think that's going to be important. We need to incent the people coming to town to do the business.
Thank you. And Steve, sustainability was a major theme in Blaine's 2040 comp plan. What will you do, if elected, to start to build a sustainability plan for Blaine?
Well, I think I would begin by listening to, all the people that are experts, the city manager and so forth, and see what their thoughts are. I really think that we really need to watch our growth and like I said, make sure that we don't overwhelm our resources, like overcrowding our schools and our infrastructure. I just think that what we want to do is we want to create incentives for new construction that improves our city while also maintaining a spacious suburban feel where the majority of our residents own their homes.
Thank you. This next question, we'll start with you, Heidi. What does citizen engagement mean to you, and how will you work together with citizens of the community you represent?
There's a theme. Have you noticed that, guys?
Mm-hmm.
I think I do that every day. And it's as simple as getting out into the neighborhood and talking to our neighbors and listening. I've been a business leader for almost 30 years, and 10 of that here with my husband at our thriving dental practice. And whether it's in the workplace or out in the community, we have to talk to people, gather ideas and facts, and listen. That's how you get people involved. Yeah.
Thank you. Steve, what does citizen engagement mean to you, and how will you work together with the citizens of the community you represent?
Well, I think, I would like to come into this position with no preset agenda. And, and I intend to listen to the voices of the Blaine residents. I think that I want to represent all members of the Blaine community, and I'd like to keep an open line of communication. This would ensure that Ward 2 has a strong voice at City Hall. That's really it.
And Terry, what does citizen engagement mean to you, and how will you work together with the citizens of the community you represent?
Well, actually, once you asked the question, I realized I've been doing it now for, I believe, 18 years. That's the Pheasant Ridge Caribou Coffee has been open that long, and I've maintained the same corner chair by the front window for, I think I started a week after they opened the door. I'm there every morning. I very, very seldom miss. We have discussions going on with people. They actually stop and get their coffee and come over and talk with us, and then go get a refill so they can take off and go to work. It's so rewarding to meet with these people. Some people, all they want to do is complain. So I say, I'm willing to listen to your complaint. But how would you fix it? Well, I don't know. Well, then, we've got plenty of noise. So if you don't have a resolution to it, don't even bring it up. And so we have very spirited discussions, and it's just a little bite, but it counts up.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll start with you, Steve, for the next question. What will you do as a city council member to support law enforcement, fire department, and city staff to equip them with the necessary tools to support residents and businesses?
As we've said before, because, I feel like we're going over some of the same things over and over again, but, the city council the police deserves the city council, deserves support from the city council. And I would want them to be, as we said, well-staffed, well-trained, and well-paid. This should result in the best police force and a police force that's an asset to our city. Again, my goal is to make Blaine one of the safest cities in the metro.
Thank you. And Terry, what will you do as a city council member to support law enforcement, fire department, and city staff to equip them with the necessary tools to support residents and businesses?
Do I have an hour for this? I come from a very strong police background. I've been a board member, I think I said earlier, St. Paul Police Canine Foundation. We supply all the dogs we buy, we train, we build the facilities for St. Paul. We also do help startup programs for other cities. There's a lot of work with county sheriff departments. I love to have meetings, and I've been up with Brian Padani. I know him very well. Mm-hmm. And I love talking about all the successes. And I said, but how about what's the issues? What's the failures? Let's talk about the failures. Because we need to identify where the issue is and work on that. Because if we don't, we still think we're doing such a great job. I really think we have one of the best police departments around. I compare it with St. Paul. St. Paul gets a lot of bad press, and that's all politically driven, and I've been told to stay out of it, so.
Heidi, what will you do as a city council member to support law enforcement, fire department, and city staff to equip them with the necessary tools to support residents and businesses?
Well, I think maintaining a very open line of communication with Chief Podani is important and is a responsibility of council. Checking in with him on a very regular basis, again, thanking them and appreciating all of the good things that they're doing, and there are many. And as Terry said, making sure that we understand where the issues are as well. In knocking on doors, I have been asked a few times by residents recently, why do our police officers get to drive big Chevy, GMC, whatever those are, Suburbans or Blaze, I don't know what they are, but they look big and fancy and black and menacing. So I went right to Chief Podani, and he was able to quickly explain that they make a lot of sense. We live in an area where you have to get places quickly in the winter, and they enable them to do that. They're comfortable, and they hold all of their equipment, so it just makes sense.
Thank you. And for the last question, we will start with you, Terry. With increased development in the Blaine area, what can City Council do to create and maintain green spaces, support parks, and conservation and natural areas to be enjoyed by residents?
Well, I have a friend who is very, very interested in being with the park board. He's not presently, but as I understand it, Blaine, we're roughly 36 square miles, and we have something like 67 parks. We need to take better care of our parks. We have a large volunteer crew in the summer to do this. It's not enough. I've actually been pulled by my friend into, and with our Blaine Central Lions Club, we took over, we adopted 2 parks, and we cleaned them up, and we got rid of the drug paraphernalia. And the neighborhoods are coming back to them. Basically, any new areas come up, I'm sure they still have the old model where, okay, you have so many homes, you're gonna have a park. And I'm fine with that.
Thank you. And next to you, Heidi. With increased development in the Blaine area, what can City Council do to create and maintain green spaces, support parks, and conservation and natural areas to be enjoyed by residents?
Again, I think it's important to, as Terry said, know the size of the city and the fact that there are, is it 65 or 67 parks now? It might be 67 now, which far exceeds national standards. And I think it's something that we should take pride in. And how do we take pride in that? And that goes to what Terry said, which is we have to make sure that they're being taken care of so that they can be used and enjoyed by all of us. And I enjoy many of them. I love Loch Ness. I take my little 4-year-old nephews to the splash pad at we call it the beach park. And it does take a lot of work, and it's going to take some commitment on the part of council to make sure that all of the parks have the resources and the people that they need to be taken care of.
Thank you. And Steve, with increased development in the Blaine area, what can City Council do to create and maintain green spaces, support parks, and conservation and natural areas to be enjoyed by residents?
Well, my wife Tracy and I are avid bikers and hikers, and we certainly love Blaine Beach. And we think that they're all very much assets for the community. I think that they're a vital role to a quality of life in our community. And I just think that they need to be maintained and always, set aside just to make sure they're there for our people.
Thank you. And now it's time for the closing statements, and each candidate will have 1 minute for their closing statement. For closing statements, we'll start with you, Heidi.
All right. It will be my sincere honor to use my business experience, education, knowledge, and passion to work to improve our community, as well as leverage my small-town girl grit and determination to serve all of Blaine's diverse, smart, hardworking, and growing population. I believe in my soul that we are truly better together, and that deep-rooted philosophy I learned from my parents and grandparents will never be more valuable than when in helping lead and govern one of the fastest-growing cities in all of Minnesota. As a council person, I will pursue what is best for the entire population of Blaine. I promise to never be a champion of special interest group or to lead the charge for a self-serving, narrow perspective or agenda. I will not make bold promises I cannot keep. I will lead thoughtfully, rationally, and with responsibility. I believe we can and we must have balance within our community. My sincere plea for all Blaine Ward 2 residents, please vote wisely as this election matters. I'd be honored to serve with Mayor Tim Sanders and the other talented, passionate, and dedicated council members. And I humbly thank the people of Blaine for their support.
And next, Steve, you will have 1 minute for your closing statement.
I hope that everyone has listened to all the answers here, and I appreciate the League of Women Voters bringing us out here. I can only tell you that, if elected, I promised that I would listen to all your voices, and I would I would collect the knowledge of my fellow city council members and listen to their experience and make the best choices I could for Blaine. So I would appreciate if you would vote for me.
Thank you. And Terry, you can please go ahead with your final statement.
Okay, well, I wish that there were 3 spots open, because then we could all serve together in the council. I really am impressed. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of my community involvement over the last 49 years. I've been related around fire districts for 12 years at Circle Pine Centennial. I helped start the Centennial Fire District. I was an EMT paramedic, EMTI, it wasn't a paramedic, there. I've been on the SPM Fire District. I'm one of their board members. I helped and I am currently the vice president of Blaine Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. I was on the Traffic Commission now for 6+ years. I've been an election judge for the city of Blaine for 24 years. I've been a Lion for 33 years. St. Paul Canine Foundation, 18 years. Historical Society for St. Paul Police, and I've been a MSRA old car nut for 39 years. So,
Thank you. And thank you, candidates, for speaking to voters about issues and for running for Blaine City Council Ward 2. Thanks to NorthMetroTV for their video production. And thanks to viewers for your interest in becoming informed voters. If you have questions left unanswered, contact the candidates directly. To register to vote or update your registration, go online to mnvotes.org. That's mnvotes.org. You can also register when you go to vote. And thank you again, candidates, for being here this evening.
thank you.